Hey everybody, today we've got a hypothetical matchup. This time it's going to be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for the Democrats up against Marco Rubio for the Republicans. And this was suggested to me a long time ago in the comments. It's taken a while, but I finally got around to doing it. So let's dive right into this. So let's start with AOC. She came in as a progressive firebrand member of the squad. She was supposed to be somebody that's going to completely be anti-establishment and shake up the system. With some exceptions, it looks like she's mostly cozied up to the establishment. Now, if she was actually running a national campaign, she'd be very young, barely 35 years old on election day, so that is going to be a weakness. And we also don't know what kind of national campaign she would actually run. Would it be a more establishment type of campaign, or would she try to run as a progressive? Well, as I usually say, I think on economics, the Democrat would do better. That's going to be key for the Rust Belt. If she starts talking about social justice and identity politics, that's going to be a negative for her. There's also the conflict between Israel and Palestine. That could be a factor. It's hard to say, but I'm not going to put a lot of weight on that in case something changes. Now, as for Marco Rubio, he's from Florida. He won a big re-election in the midterms. He's got the popularity with Hispanics in South Florida. That might translate a little bit, but not as much to other areas with large Hispanic populations like South Texas. And Rubio has been mostly establishment. I think he's tried to play both sides at times, but whatever he's done, it's working for him in Florida. So this is going to come down to if AOC ran as a progressive outsider and got a whole lot of new voters to turn out for her, or if Marco Rubio would be the more palatable candidate for the suburbs and independent voters. So having said that, let's try to go through these states and fill out the map. We will start, as always, in Alaska. That's going to be over 10, safe for Rubio. Hawaii, that's a blue state, and it's going to be safe for AOC. Now, we've got the West Coast. We've got Washington, Oregon, and California. I think Rubio would do better here than Trump, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get them under 10. It's going to be safe for AOC. Let's go to Nevada. Here's a state where AOC could do better with the working class population in Clark County. But again, she's young. That might be a weakness. She might be painted as too extreme. So I think Rubio is not a bad fit here. I have him winning this state. It could be by more, but I have it as a tilt margin. Idaho, Utah, safe for Rubio. Down to Arizona. Rubio, a good establishment fit for the state that used to be much redder. I don't think AOC is going to have a ton of success here. It's going to go leans for Rubio. Montana, Wyoming, safe for Rubio. How about Colorado? Well, this is a pretty blue state at this point. AOC, probably a more reasonable fit for the progressive spots, but Marco Rubio, I think he could get this margin back down to single digits, maybe not much lower than that, but it's going to go likely for AOC. Let's go one state south, down to the border at New Mexico. That's a state Rubio might even do a little bit better in. I think that could get even closer. I'm going to have that as leans for AOC. North and South Dakota, safe for Rubio. Nebraska, at large, safe for Rubio. The 2nd District, it got a little bit redder after redistricting. Rubio, not a bad fit for this district. I think he would channel some of that Don Bacon energy, and AOC is going to be a little bit too controversial. Rubio's going to win it by a low single-digit lean margin. Kansas, Oklahoma, safe for Rubio. Down to Texas. Here's a state where AOC would ignite some blue voters, especially in Travis County, but Rubio, I think, is going to do pretty well here in the suburbs. The trends might be in favor of the Democrats. Rubio probably going to hold it off better than anybody else. I think this would be probably high single digits, maybe safe, but I'm going to keep it at likely for Rubio. Now we go up to Minnesota. Rubio actually won this state in the 2016 Republican primary. He's a reasonable fit for the suburbs around the Twin Cities. I don't think he would get wiped out in the red rural counties, but it's still a blue enough state where AOC is going to win it by probably mid-single digits. We're going to say leans for AOC. How about Iowa? Theoretically, AOC could do a little bit better in some of these red rural counties if it were only about economics. If you consider anything cultural, Rubio, I think, is going to do pretty well here, and I have this just hitting 10 points. It's actually going to go safe for Rubio. Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, safe for Rubio. Let's go up to Wisconsin. Rubio, again, going to do better here in the suburbs where he needs to. AOC not going to get the exact margin she needs in Dane County. Rubio is going to win this by a 1 to 2 point lean margin. Illinois, low double digits, safe for AOC. How about Michigan? Here's a state where the conflict in Israel and Palestine could have an effect, but also with economics, they're going to be more of a fan of AOC than Rubio. So this state is completely up for grabs. A lot of different factors here, but when all the dust settles, I had to make a decision and I went with a tilt for AOC. Indiana, safe for Rubio. Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, safe for Rubio. Down to Florida, Rubio's home state. AOC is going to be branded a socialist here. That is going to work in South Florida. Plus, it's Rubio's home state. The voters there, they know him, and enough of them love him. He's going to crack double digits. It's that's going to be safe for Rubio. North to Georgia, I think Rubio is going to be more palatable here in the Atlanta suburbs than Donald Trump. I think in the red counties, Rubio's going to do well enough. This state is going to go leans for Rubio. South Carolina, safe for Rubio. North Carolina, this is going to be about 4 to 5 points, possibly could go likely, but to be cautious, I'm going to say leans for Rubio. Now we go up to Ohio. Again, some of the economic issues could peel off some of those Obama to Trump voters. That's going to keep this under 10 points, but it is going to be high single digits likely for Rubio. West Virginia is safe for Rubio. Up to the corner, Maine at large. This is going to be mid-single digits, maybe only 5 to 6 points. It is going to be likely for AOC. The first district, safe for AOC. The second district, it's going to be over 5. It's going to be likely for Rubio. Next state, New Hampshire. Here's a state that usually goes toward the Democrats. In this matchup, Rubio, I think, could flip it back unless it was some kind of a blue wave. I'm going to say it's low single digits, leans for Rubio. Now we've got the blue states, Vermont, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. Some of those margins could be reduced, but I don't think it's likely enough that they would get under 10. They're all going to be safe for AOC. How about Pennsylvania? The working class union vote is going to be key here. Some of them are going to come over to AOC when they hear her economic messaging, but some of the suburban Philadelphia voters, Chester, Delaware, Bucks County, enough of them are going to go to Rubio. So I think the state would be competitive, but eventually I went with a tilt for Marco Rubio. The last state is Virginia, and Rubio I think is going to do better here than Trump, but in Northern Virginia, if AOC was running as a hardcore anti-establishment outsider, then I think the state would flip to Rubio. Assuming it's more of a middle-of-the-road type of approach, then I'm going to say the state goes to AOC, probably by a 4 to 5 point lean margin. So the final total is 302 for Marco Rubio, 236 for AOC, and this comes out to kind of an easy win for Marco Rubio. But as always, there's a lot of different factors and you could emphasize different things. But again, we really don't know if AOC would run as an outsider. Is she going to go all in on a progressive economic policy as well as run on a progressive social and cultural platform? The latter I don't really think is going to help her. Rubio is much more likely to come off as the moderate in this race. I'm sure any controversial things AOC has said in the past, they're going to be made front and center by Marco Rubio. I'm sure he's got some statements of his own, but Rubio is a little older, a little bit more experienced. I think he would do a little bit better job keeping enough Trump voters and not abandoning the establishment. That's going to be better in the suburbs and with independents. AOC could ignite some new voters to turn out, but that's really only if she ran as a hard progressive. Then I think she would do worse in the suburbs. But on economics, I'm assuming AOC would do better than Rubio. Not on every issue, but on enough of them. That's why there's more questions to be answered in the Rust Belt. But as far as charisma and personality, to me, I always thought AOC kind of came off as more of a celebrity type of politician. Now you might say that's going to turn out more young voters, and it might, but I think more voters are going to be able to relate more with Rubio. Now there's so many different issues and so many different ways these two could run their campaigns that it's very difficult to fill out a map with a lot of confidence. You could just pick different things you want to focus on and make some changes. And as always, it also matters who they would pick as their running mate and what the national environment would be like. And you might say there's no way AOC can lose. She's going to speak truth to power and get out all those Democratic voters she needs to, as well as win over working class blue collar voters. And on the other side, some of you might say there's no way AOC could even do this well, and she would not be taken as a serious presidential candidate. Yeah, both of those could theoretically happen, but I try to take the more likely middle of the road conclusion, and this is how I see it going. Rubio does pretty well, but I don't think he's any kind of a rock star. It just so happens he comes out on top in this matchup. So let me know in the comments, do you mostly agree with this map? If not, which states would you change? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.